gentle, younger guy.
Yeah.
The chat was good. He was, according to him, his family migrated to Palestine before the creation of the State of Israel.
Okay.
So that's why I was more friendly and open to him.
Okay.
Because I'm against any of the Zionists who came to Palestine after 1948 and who helped to occupy other people's land. I'm against them. Just like
A Jewish Israeli citizen born today in Nazareth or Jaffa.
Yeah.
Where is their home? They're born there.
Yeah, it's a sticky. It's a good question actually, because as you said, that is what they.
And one of their parents might be from Yemen, the other might be from Poland. Where do they go?
Exactly, that's a good point. It's not directly their fault that their parents or grandparents decided to come and live in another people's occupied land. So where do they stand? I mean, it's a hard question. I haven't got the answer, but to be very basic, let's put me in power, and somehow we've got Palestine back from the Zionists, and I've got it now. I'll give those people an option to stay and live under the current rulership, or I'll let all the Palestinians right to return come back. Those from Burj al-Baraji who you visited yourself, Sabra al-Shatila, Nahr al-Barid, Syria, Yarmouk, Egypt, all of them come back to Palestine, and then all the Palestinians are there, Palestinian Arabs are there, all the sons of Jews who came and who were born there, then have a democracy. That could be a possible solution.
How many of the refugees in these places, in Burj al-Baraji, Lebanon and other places, would want to come back, do you think? Because they're in their millions now.
They're in their millions. How much would want to come back? Well, I don't know about the ones in Syria and Egypt and Jordan. Well, actually I do. The ones in Jordan, I don't think a lot from Jordan would like to come back because they've got the citizenship and they're more or less became Jordanians. However, the ones in Lebanon, as you know, they haven't got any rights. They're not allowed the right to inherit, a right to own property. They're not allowed to work properly. They're not given Lebanese passport. So I think a lot of them, if they give a chance to return, they'll return to.
Was it part of that to keep the dream alive?
It was. I guess it was.
Is it?
I guess it was.
Where do we stand on that?
That's difficult again.
Because they do have less rights, but it's because they want to go home.
I know, and there's more to that than just what you said. As you know, Lebanon is very delicate in terms of the sectarian divide. The Sunnis, the Shia, the Druze, the Christians, the Maronites, the Roman Catholic, etc., etc. So I believe the Lebanese government, or those in power, do not want to give the Palestinians citizenship because that will increase the amount of Sunnis in Lebanon, and that would upset the balance. But
the amount of Sunnis on paper, I mean, they're there, whether you like it or not.
On paper, and right to vote and all that, and it's not citizens. But a part of it was to keep the dream alive, which is fair. It's a fair argument. But however, these people are suffering. They are suffering. The poor people are suffering. They can't. It's hard for them to earn a living. They're living in squalid conditions. I know you've seen it yourself. I don't even need to tell you. Open sewage, and they've got nothing. And
some of the refugees that I did a little boxing project. We were teaching boxing to kids. There were even refugees that arrived from Syria who were Palestinians who'd been in Syria and now fled and were refugees.
I've read about them online.
But which state do you think has treated the Palestinian refugees the best?
Syria treat them very good.
Syria
treat them very good. Iraq under Saddam Hussein treat them very good. Very good. Jordan was a funny one because I'm not sure how you are in history, but in 1973, Black September, they massacred a lot of them. Yeah. But I think I'm not an expert in this area, but I think with the Palestinians of Jordan, the ones who wanted to follow the system and get integrated were allowed to get integrated, and they got treated as Jordanians.
Didn't Hafiz al-Assad do a similar thing to the Palestinians?
In Lebanon.
Okay.
Not in Syria.
In Lebanon.
Because at that time, Yasser Arafat, rest in peace now, he did not want to be under the wing of Hafiz al-Assad. He didn't want to be fully under his control, whereas Hafiz al-Assad, he wanted to have them under his control, and he wanted them to only negotiate when Syria wants them to negotiate. He wanted them only to fight when Syria wants them to fight. But Yasser Arafat was like, no, the PLO is an independent organisation. We make our own decisions, etc., etc. And hence there was a lot of fighting in Lebanon. And even a lot of Palestinians went and became pro-Syrian. And some say pro-Arafat.
Till now, I believe the PFLP General Command are pro-Syria. And Hamas, who were given refuge in Syria for so long, fled when the
revolution
conflict happened.
revolution.
They went to, a sense you're sceptical of the revolution in Syria.
Oh man, you know what? It's like a sad story, that, isn't it? It's like a sad story. It's like those poor people, they got told that they're going to get support from Saudi, Qatar, Turkey, America, blah blah blah, and they got armed and they got given hope, and they just got left. They got thrown under the bus, didn't they? Really, they got thrown under the bus, and it's part of the plan. I'll tell you what it reminds me of. I don't know if you read Robert Fisk's book.
Robert Fisk, what did he say?
He wrote a book. No, I'm talking about a book he's wrote called The Great Clash of Civilization, The Great War of Civilization. It's a big, thick book. It talks about the different wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, everything. And it reminds me of when the Americans in 1991, after the Gulf War, incited the Shia to uprising against Saddam Hussein, and I think they also armed them to an extent, and they encouraged them. And after they did, they left them, and he slaughtered so much Shia. And then afterwards, they put the country under sanction. And then 13 years later, in 2003, or 12 years later, in 2003, they used that excuse to invade the country. And I feel the same is going to happen to Syria.
They'll be invaded for whoever takes power from Assad.
I feel that this thing what's happened in Syria, it's weakened the state a lot. It's weakened the Syrian army a lot. So many deserters and so many people, so many in the Syrian army died. From both sides died. And now, no one's talking about Assad getting out of power. That's off the tables now. No one's talking about that now. But what I believe may happen, I may be wrong, they're going to put the country under sanctions, weaken it, and 5 years, 10 years down the line, once it's weak, you get weaker, and they'll be able to invade it properly. They'll invade it properly, and they'll use the old story of look what he done 10 years ago, evil man, gassed his own people, etc., etc.
Who would they put in his place?
A puppet. Who do they put in?
A Sunni puppet.
It doesn't matter if it's Sunni or Shia or whatever. It most probably will be a Sunni puppet because it has to be from the majority. Same what they done with Iraq. They took out a Sunni minority guy who was in power, put a Shia majority, but the label is irrespective. As long as it's a puppet. Are the Saudis not so-called Sunnis? Are the Kuwaitis not so-called Sunnis?
No, absolutely. But you find many places where the imperial powers were, they leave behind a minority in power, and it so happens that Bashar al-Assad is an Alawi Shia in charge of a mainly Sunni country. Saddam Hussein was a Sunni in charge of a mainly Shia country. This is already a recipe for disaster. I'm not saying that's the reason why Bashar al-Assad should go. I'm sure every Christian, every Druze, every minority religion in that country is fearing. And
a lot of Sunnis support him.
They fear what might replace him.
A lot of Sunnis in Syria will support him, and the way the uprising or the revolution, whatever you want to call it, was going in Syria, those who were going to get power weren't looking to be the type of people Washington and London wanted to be in power. From the looks of it, just look at the names: Islamic State in Syria and Iraq, Jabhat al-Nusra, Ansar al-Islam, Jaysh al-Islam.
These are the people that might topple Bashar al-Assad.
There's people who were going to topple him, and who, if the West and their puppets in the Arab world did carry on support, were going to topple him if they didn't withhold their support. And it's not the type they wanted. Maybe that's another explanation. I mean, look, we're just speculating. No one knows the facts 100%. We could only read history, try and learn from history, and make our own analysis.
Thank you for joining me.